Welcome back once again to Inside the Pylon, a Midwest college football podcast, joined as always by Clinton Boring. My name is Ryan Sadkoviak, and we have a lot to talk about tonight, Clinton. We have playoff rankings, we have rivalry week picks,
Why will we?
rivalry week. We have two berths in the MAC championship game on the line. We have playoff implications on the line. We have Thanksgiving side dishes to discuss. So much to do tonight. So little time, sir. How are you doing this evening?
Doing good, man. Got a little bit of a touch of a cold, thanks to my lovely children. My wife also has a little bit of a cold. Other than that, I'm good. So if I sniffle or sneeze during this episode, I would do my best to mute the mic. But if the mood's right and it just shoots out my nose, then I guess you're going to hear me sneeze. Other than that, I'm doing pretty good. It's nice to have a 4-day weekend. I'm very much looking forward to that. We are traveling the next 2 days, which to most people would probably be a pain in the butt with two kids. However, we are not hosting anyone, which means we don't have to clean up messes when we're done. That is on the onus of the hosts for the next 2 days. So, and then I'm just ready to get college football weekend rolling, man. I'm really sad that this is the last weekend of the regular season. I feel like we've had a really good first full regular season of podcasting, and I'm really looking forward to the postseason and how we're going to kind of have to dive into some of these other teams that we've not covered all year so that we can be aware of what the hell's going on. How are you, Ryan?
Oh, just peachy, man. I waded into the fucking cesspool that this Penn State Notre Dame playoff discourse has become on Twitter, and there's some bright people out there, we'll just say. Real smart.
Intelligente.
Real smart. Real. I've learned, like, there's a large number of people who have neither a name or a picture on Twitter. And I get it. If my opinions were that bad too, I would want to hide my face and name as well. So, at Send
Like
the
that's
Profile, guys, you can find us.
the squirrel person that was commenting at you.
Person. Yeah, I don't.
They had a squirrel logo.
Yeah, it's some fucking. I don't even know. It's not even worth getting into because that's a whole other rabbit hole. Yeah, man. So that was fun today. No, I like Thanksgiving week because it's the fact that there's no football on tonight is kind of a bummer. But
Blasphemy.
yeah, the 4 straight days of football is kind of nice. There's a ton of games on Friday this year. Has it always been? I don't recall it always being this loaded on Friday.
There were times, yeah, it's been pretty low. There was times when the Iron Bowl was played on a Friday
Well,
when I
like
was in high
so,
school or early college.
because I remember last year we had Nebraska Iowa was the noon game. I feel
Mhm.
like there was only like 3 or 4 games throughout the day though now, and it feels like there's
I
7, 8,
wonder
9.
I wonder if it's just more like some of those games on Friday were more like not power program matchups, so then we're less likely to kind of be attentive to them.
Maybe.
Like I think OU plays on Friday every year, I feel like on
Well, the
Black
MAC
Friday.
usually does because I think BG usually has a home game on Friday at Black Friday. No one goes to it because no one's on campus. But like Egg Bowls was used to be on Thanksgiving, and now that's on Friday. I don't remember if Georgia Tech's always been on a Friday. That's
I
on a
remember
Friday this year.
the Egg Bowl with Elijah Moore acting like he was a dog peeing on a fire hydrant and then lost
P-Gate.
them the game because of that.
P-Gate. Good times.
My gosh. Lane
Um,
Kiffin's teams.
yeah, so we can let's talk a little bit about that to start today. The playoff rankings to kind of tie together the playoff show from Monday. It was Monday, right? Yeah. Okay. I can't. I don't know. We're doing this on Wednesday, and I'm all ass backwards right now. So, I think I was a little taken aback by how far Indiana fell. So, to recap, we have top three is the same: Oregon, Ohio State, Texas, Penn State. I guess top four is the same. Penn State remains at number 4. Notre Dame takes number 5. This slot vacated by Indiana. We have Miami at 6, Georgia at 7, Tennessee at 8. SMU ascends all the way to number 9, right in front of the Hoosiers there, Clinton, at number 10. 11 is Boise State, 12 is Clemson, and then we have a dearth of 3-loss SEC teams from 13 to 15, Alabama, Ole Miss, and South Carolina in order, right in front of the highest-ranked Big 12 team, Arizona State at 16, Tulane at 17, Iowa State 18, BYU 19, and Texas A&M at 20. So as it stands right now, Clinton, still Boise State would get the 4 seed in that first round bye based on their ranking in relation to the Big 12 teams. But we're also at a point, too, since Boise State is currently in the committee's top 12, if chalk holds up for the rest of the regular season and there are no ACC, SEC bid thieves looking at you, Texas A&M, there'd only be just the Big 12 sneaking in. We wouldn't even have the G5 sneaking in since the G5 team's in the playoff field right now.
Yeah.
But obviously there's a lot subject to change with that. We talked a little bit on Monday that Boise State not looking the best lately. They still have to likely play UNLV. What happens to Tulane? There's still a lot that can go wrong in the Big 12 or right. Still a lot that can go wrong or right in the ACC. But I found Indiana's placement in this curious. I wasn't entirely. I figured they'd probably fall behind the 2 SEC teams, and I didn't think they'd fall behind SMU though.
Yeah, that was one that I was pretty surprised by. I figured, if they go with SMU, that would be number 9, right? That was about as far as I thought they would fall.
Yeah,
I figured they'd be 7, 8, 9. So I was a bit baffled by that, and I have talked with some people, and our buddy Brendan Moore, who came on and talked about Michigan State with us, he had originally posted, he's like, Indiana at 10, you are safe, and I was like, I think you better think again, man.
Yep.
Like if they were 8, 9, I would say they were safe, but they're technically almost like 11 because Boise is theoretically ahead of them because they're not an at-large.
That is
which
correct.
Means if Clemson beats South Carolina this weekend, Clemson's probably going to jump Indiana.
It could happen, and that was
And then you're sitting with Alabama right behind you, and you're playing that game with Ole Miss, who's sitting there. And it's not Iowa that I said, but I said a 3-loss Ole Miss would somehow find their way in the playoff, and here they are.
The thing with those 2 teams, though, is like there's no meat on the bone left on the schedule because Auburn's not very good, regardless of what they did against Texas A&M. I mean,
are you saying beating Auburn in an SEC win is not meat on the bone, Ryan? It just means more. Come on.
Not. But also, Ole Miss plays Mississippi State, and let's not even pretend that Mississippi State is an SEC team at this point because they lost to Toledo.
They lost to Toledo, who just lost last night.
Akron, yep, losing to the MAC. It's in fashion. So it's one of those for at least those 2 teams. It doesn't seem like they have the ammunition left on the schedule to then be able to jump Indiana. The Clemson placement is a little curious to me though because we talked a little bit about Clemson as well on Monday, just because we're getting to that point where it's like, all right, well, we got a bunch of 3-loss teams. Don't feel great about having these 3-loss teams in my top 15. So we'll put Clemson up there, but I don't feel great about that either because, I mean, they've been beating up on some pretty bad teams this year, but they've looked bad against everyone that they've played with a pulse this year. They got absolutely destroyed by Georgia to open the season. They got pretty handily beat by Louisville. They didn't look that great against either Virginia Tech or Pitt. So it's not like we've seen them do good things this year, but I just don't know that we've seen them do it consistently enough to feel all that great about them. But you beat South Carolina, who's playing some of the best football in the country right now. That's certainly a resume building win. But at that point, that then becomes an 8-4 South Carolina team who's a borderline top 25 team. And as good as they're playing right now, that's not as it's kind of that fallacy, right? Like, well, they were a good team when we played them and then we beat them and they're not as good anymore. So I don't know how impressive of a resume that becomes if that gets you to jump then over a presumably 11-1 Indiana team at that point. But I'm with you, man. I thought that given the carnage that happened in the SEC, the Hoosiers were 100% safe coming into this last weekend. But I have a little bit of, I don't think it's right. I don't agree with it, but I definitely could see a world in which they kind of get hosed here this last week and then into championship weekend.
I think another one that's interesting to you is, let's say Boise State wins out, Arizona State wins out, wins the Big 12. Is Arizona State going to trump Boise?
That's a good question.
Like, Boise's 5 spots ahead. They're going to play in their conference championship. Now, let's assume they don't lose this weekend. So they still have the 1 loss. They win the conference championship.
Yep.
Arizona State's pretty far back, and I know they're going to win the Big 12, but right now they'd play Iowa State, I think, is the most likely scenario if we had to put 2 in. Who is also 9-2, but 18th. So they're going to get another ranked win, so maybe that does propel them.
Sure, but you also have to look, too, if UNLV wins next weekend, then they're 22 right now, and that could be then another top
another ranked win.
Boise.
Yeah. Yep. So I think it might be hard pressed to find that the Big 12 can jump Boise right now.
Mm-hmm.
I think we were realistically looking at Boise as the 4 seed. And I think this goes against my pick because I believe did I pick Miami or did I pick Clemson to win the ACC?
Oh, I didn't write yours down.
I think I have it somewhere, but
I have mine.
I'm almost for certain I said Miami. But I had them playing Clemson in the ACC title.
Uh-huh.
But I had Miami winning. But it gets intriguing. Like you look here, Georgia. If Georgia Tech clips Georgia this weekend, Georgia's 9-3, but they're going to go to the SEC championship.
Yep.
There's no feasible way a 4-loss Georgia is getting in the playoff if they lose to Texas or Texas A&M.
So imagine Texas A&M wins this weekend and Georgia Tech beats Georgia. Then you truly have a win or you're out SEC title game next week.
And then you're getting most likely just 2 in.
Yeah, do you think it'd be
maybe 3 because
Tennessee,
what are you going to do with Texas?
Winner? Yeah, I don't know.
Texas is going to get in over the teams that played in the SEC title game?
Well, and it's just
even though they couldn't get there and have no impressive wins?
Texas is very Indiana-ish right now with their resume. So if they lose to Texas A&M and they're 10-2, like how can you keep them ahead of Indiana at that point?
How can you keep them in the playoff?
Yeah, I mean, I guess you
because you're gonna have I mean, you can
not ahead of Indiana, not ahead of Tennessee.
No. Yeah, I agree. So that gets interesting, right? And to see what happens with the SEC. If for some reason they're at 4-5, what if Penn State or Notre Dame stumble?
Mm-hmm.
Like, can they hang on to stay in there? Do they, because of the chaos from last weekend? I think it would hurt Penn State a lot worse than it would Notre Dame at this point. Notre Dame is at least a rivalry game. It's a USC. It's a branding thing.
And Maryland's not.
If Penn State loses to Maryland, I think Penn State
tough.
would be sitting on the cusp. I think if Ohio State would somehow lose to Michigan, they're safe. Ohio State's in. They're not going from 2 all the way out of the playoff.
No.
I agree the same way. I still don't think Texas is missing the playoff. I think Texas is in. But Penn State Notre Dame would be a little bit interesting. I think if Miami loses, Miami's going to be in some trouble.
Mm-hmm.
Because, one, they're out of the ACC title game, which means they no longer have a shot to get the auto bid. So I don't know if they're going to get an at-large. And if they do, they're now a bid stealer who gets in front of maybe an Indiana. This weekend could present a lot of chaos. But I'm with you. I think Bama, Mississippi, South Carolina need a lot of help. South Carolina can obviously help themselves if they walk into Clemson and handle Clemson.
Mm-hmm.
I think they're going to jump Bama. I know the committee's valuing head-to-head right now, but I don't think it'll matter at that point because South Carolina just got another huge win. Why Bama's playing 5-5 or 5-6 Auburn. It would be very intriguing.
Yeah.
There are lots of fun scenarios to come this weekend.
Yeah, this entire back 75% of the playoff, like I truly don't know what would happen if any of these teams lose this weekend.
Well, here's the other one I forgot to say. What if Georgia loses to Georgia Tech, Texas loses to A&M, and Tennessee loses to Vandy?
Well, then a 3-all loss SEC team is definitely getting in.
But is Tennessee done? I think Tennessee's done.
Tennessee's definitely done then.
Yeah, then I think I somehow think Texas weasels their way in with 2 losses, and then the winner of the SEC championships in, you get 2.
I think Bama would then jump back in.
And then Bama sneaks in?
Yeah, probably.
But how do they go in front of Tennessee? Tennessee beat them head-to-head.
Well, that's what happens when you lose. I don't know, man. I would say that's what happens when you lose to 2 crappy teams in one season.
They both lost to Vandy.
Alabama's lost
to Vandy.
Alabama's lost to 2 crappy teams in one season. So I don't know, man. Maybe so much chaos happens this weekend that they just decide to cancel a 12-team playoff, and we just get Oregon and Ohio State playing a best-of-5 to figure it out.
We just get the top 4: Oregon, Ohio State, Penn State, Notre Dame. There you go.
Could you imagine if this was a 4-team playoff? What would we have 4 Big Ten teams or 3 Big Ten teams in the 4-team playoff?
Very well could. What a year to have that happen. The first year we don't have the 4, and you're staring at 3 Big Ten teams in the top 4, and very well would finish there if the season plays out how we expect it to.
I think
You'd get Oregon, Penn State, Ohio State, Texas right now.
Nah, you see, I don't know, man. I don't know. I truly don't know. If Miami won out, and I think whoever won the AC or SEC title game, I think they would knock Penn State out.
Yeah, I agree. I think Miami would at least. But I guess it depends on how the final week would play out. I don't know. We'll have to look at it next week.
Yeah, I don't know.
And just see what the scenario is.
We're going to be sitting here talking in 96 hours or whatever, and there's just
because we could realistically be looking at 4 of our coverage teams being the top 4 teams heading in to championship weekend. Oregon, Ohio State, Penn State, Notre Dame. If Texas loses this weekend,
it's true.
4 of our teams we cover. We're most likely. I talked about this today with someone else. We're going to get 5 teams that we cover most likely in the playoff, barring a loss.
Yeah, let's not jinx it there, bud.
That's pretty dream-esque for us to be able to have something to talk about in the playoff, right? Like we get to carry 5 teams we've covered all year to get to talk about them in the playoffs. I would assume likely 2 of them are going to play one another in that scenario. But yeah, it would be a lot of fun. Be a little less research we'd have to do.
Yeah, good for me. Less homework. Well, we have a lot of games this weekend, and there are some with playoff implications, some with just bragging rights, some MAC title game implications too as well, Clinton. So let's get into it here. Oh, you son of a bitch.
Picks of the week.
Crime alert. I don't know. I just got an email that said crime alert. I'll read that later. Let's start with the MAC, Clinton. Let's just knock these 2 out of the way. Both of these games are Friday at 12 o'clock. It's going to be cold as hell this weekend. I thought about going to this first
cold
game.
Everywhere.
It's a very cold weekend. We're running a turkey trot tomorrow, and I'm not happy about it.
Have fun freezing your little turkey off.
It's going to be so freaking cold at 8 o'clock tomorrow morning. It's going to be 30 degrees, and I feel like the feels like is going to be worse than that.
There's not even a Starbucks open for you to go get a warm coffee either.
They'll have warm coffee there.
Lucky you.
Like, it's not even the getting up and running a 5K that I hate, because it's like I could just go and do that. That's fine. It's the getting up and then bundling up and then having to drive there and then park in downtown Ann Arbor, which is a disaster even in the best of circumstances, because it's just always under construction and the roads make no sense and they're all one ways. It just sucks. Downtown Ann Arbor is awful. Don't let anyone tell you otherwise. It sucks. And then you got to stand there for half an hour and wait for the stupid ass race to start, freezing my ass off. Not a cold weather guy.
You chose to do it.
I did not choose to do it. Sam,
you chose to live in Michigan.
Well, it's worth it. Miami at Bowling Green on ESPNU. Bowling Green is a 2.5-point favorite in this one, Clinton. There's an outside chance, read a likely chance, that by the end of this game, Harold Fannin will have 100 catches on the season, and he will have set the single-season FBS record for receiving yards by a tight end. Fun fact.
Tight end won in the 2024 draft, 2025 draft.
MACCG award finalist Harold Fannin to you. Tyler Warren's really good, man, but if Harold Fannin does not win the MACCG this year, I'm going to have some words for someone, because that dude deserves it. He's really freaking good. Did it against the best competition, too. He went off against A&M and Penn State. So Miami's offense is not very good, but their defense is fantastic. And the other really good defense in the MAC is Northern Illinois. And when BG played NIU a couple weeks ago, they scored 7 points in that game. So that's a tough spot for the Falcons to be, because they've been running the ball better. Terrion Stewart missed like the first half of the season on and off with injuries, but he's back now. He's been playing a little bit better. Obviously, Harold Fannin's the best player in this game, but Miami's defense is really good. Chuck Martin's a really good head coach. He's been at Miami for freaking ever. But I got the sweatshirt on today, Clinton. We're going with a biased pick here. We're just give me the Falcons minus 2.5.
I am was sitting here thinking about it. Miami is the defending champ of the MAC. Not had probably quite the season they thought they would. I know they're 7-4, 6-1, but I feel like we'd mentioned outside expectations that maybe they're the group of five rep this year.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sitting here looking at the standings right now. I'm going to go BG's at home in this game, right?
BG is at home in this game.
Give me the Falcons -2.5, since I know you and my brother-in-law went there, so I'm going to go BG -2.5. We're not counting the 2 MAC games in our final standings, are we?
Oh, no, we are 100%, Clinton. I got them written down and everything.
Okay.
Now, you got to start picking. I'm picking every game opposite of you the rest of the way because that's the only way I'm going to possibly catch
you. You have to.
And here you are picking the same as me. Also, Friday at 12 o'clock, CBS Sports Network. Ohio University, a 17-point favorite, hosting Ball State, who has fired their coach. I don't know what to make of Ball State this year, Clinton, because they've had some weird results throughout the course of the season, like almost like from the get-go. So to start the season, they hold on, let me pull this up because I want to make sure for posterity's sake we get this right. So they're 3-8 on the year. They started the season with an FCS game. Week 2, they got I guess technically week 3, they got absolutely obliterated by Miami. Lost by 3 to Central Michigan. Got absolutely obliterated by James Madison. Lost by 3 to Western Michigan. Beat Kent State, who, by the way, finished 0-12 yesterday by 2 points. They only lost by 10 to Vandy. They beat NIU by 2. They only lost by 6 to Miami. They took Buffalo, who finished 8-4, to overtime. And then they got smacked around by Bowling Green last week. So they've been up and down all year, man. I wonder if they get kind of that proverbial dead cat bounce in this game, not that they've fired their coach. But I think Ohio wins, but I'm going to take Ball State to cover because 17 points is a lot.
17 is a huge spread. Parker Navarro sits at 1,765 yards passing on the season, 7 TDs to 9 interceptions. The interesting piece about him, though, is he's the second leading rusher on the team with 121 carries, 766 yards. So he is agile, mobile. Anthony Tyus, the running back, 851 yards on the ground. The Bobcats can score. Between Navarro and Tyus, they have 19 touchdowns on the ground together. Their number 1 wide receiver, is Coleman Owen, who sits at 890 yards and 5 TDs. Looking at a 3-loss Ball State coming into senior night or senior day in Athens, who people will be there for this game because of all the Athens townies who will want to be present for a potential MAC clinching team. 17 is so big. 17 or 17.5?
17.
Oh, man, that's tough. That is really tough. I was trying to pull up the Toledo game real quick, and I can't find what the score was. It won't give me the score.
For Ohio?
Yes. Yeah. How much did we beat Toledo by last week?
24-7.
17? That was at Toledo.
Was at Toledo.
Give me the Cats.
Give him the Cats.
Go Bobcats. I noticed you didn't have a Bobcat sound or a Bobcat band song for us.
Well, Clinton, it's because I have 2 degrees from Bowling Green and only 1 from Ohio. So
you have one from Ohio is the only one that matters.
That's true. I also owe a shitload of money to Ohio. So let's crank out these other 2 Friday games here before we get to the big stuff on Saturday. Paul Bunyan's Axe, 12 o'clock on CBS. I'm really excited for this game, Clinton. Minnesota traveling to Wisconsin. Wisconsin, a 1.5-point favorite in this one. That surprised me a little bit, though I suppose if we're giving 3 points for home field, then we can kind of extrapolate from there. It has been, Clinton, a kind of a difficult couple of weeks for Minnesota here. 2 weeks ago, obviously the difficult game against Rutgers, who I got beef with them, and we'll talk about that later. And then 1-point loss to Penn State last weekend. 6-5 overall for Minnesota this year. It's I feel like they've been better than that this year. They've had some close games, and you look kind of throughout the course of their season. I mean, obviously, I think we were live during that Thursday night game against North Carolina to start the season, or at least half of it. They lost that one, I think, on a missed field goal at the end of the game. Got roughed up by Iowa. They should have. Well, I don't know if they should have beat Michigan, but they were robbed of an opportunity to come back and at least tie the game against Michigan. Big win against Illinois a couple weeks ago, and then these last 2 weeks, man, I still don't know what happened in that Rutgers game, but they played Penn State pretty tough last week, so good team here, and I'm fully out on Wisconsin, man. I don't know, like, didn't look particularly great last week. I think so. 2 of their last 3 weeks playing Iowa and Nebraska, they've allowed the most points that those teams have scored throughout the course of the season. Not great for the defense with Max Brosmer playing pretty well this year. Daniel Jackson out wide. He's up to 802 yards on 69 catches this year. Very nice there. A little bit of a down year for Darius Taylor, I think, overall, compared to the expectations we had for him. I know he was banged up a little bit to start the year, but only 730 yards coming into this game. But, I mean, the way that Wisconsin's been giving up points lately, maybe a get right opportunity for all of them heading into the bowl game here. So I think, Clinton, I am going to take Minnesota, and we're going to call this
Lock of the week.
If you're going to give me a point, I'm going to take a point. Give me Minnesota plus 1.5.
All right. Well, to back up that Gophers pick, the Gophers are the 7th highest rated Big Ten team in the ESPN FPI and number 8 in the SP+. Brosmer, since the start of October, is 9 TDs to 1 interception. The Gophers D ranks number 15 in the nation in scoring defense and number 12 in total defense, despite having played one of the tougher schedules in the sport. Our boy, Coy, superstar freshman, Coy Parrish, sits at 34 tackles, 2 TFLs, 5 interceptions, and 1 forced fumble on the season. Freshman All-American right there. I kind of feel like, well, we know Braden Locke's at least good for 1 interception. I was reading about the weather in this game. It's supposed to be cold and windy. So we might be limited a little bit in the passing game. So it comes down to maybe who runs the ball better in this scenario. But to go with that, it's maybe then who stops the run better. And
Minnesota good at that.
I like Minnesota's defense better than I do Wisconsin's. Wisconsin has just had heartbreak after heartbreak after heartbreak with losses. They arguably should have clipped Oregon. If they had any semblance of quarterback play, they would have beaten Oregon. But I'm going to roll with the Minnesota Golden Gophers here. Plus 1.5.
Look at you just stealing my picks again. You're trying to make sure that I can't pass you. Real original, Clinton. Friday, 7:30 Eastern on NBC. Nebraska, fresh off of their maintenance of attaining bowl eligibility for the first time in 9 years. Traveling to Iowa City, the Hawkeyes are a 3.5-point favorite in this one, Clinton. I feel like based off of, I mean, Jackson Stratton played pretty well against Maryland last week, but I mean, I get it's Maryland, but best player in this game is your guy, Caleb Johnson. Should have had the sound ready. 164 yards last week. He is a finalist for the Doak Walker Award, and that is what he will remain because nobody's beating Ashton Genty for it. But that does not diminish the season that he has had. 1,500 yards and 21 touchdowns on the ground this season. He's been incredible. He's going to be an All-American this year. I don't know, man. Tough place to play. I think this one is going to be pretty cold too. So probably a lot of ground action in this one. And Nebraska's still not very good on the ground. They were a little bit better last week against Wisconsin, but I'm going to take Iowa minus the 3.5. I got a hunch.
Hawkeyes have won 8 of 9 matchups since the Huskers fired Bo Pelini, Ryan. You already mentioned it. Iowa's on quarterback 3, but they boast the best rushing attack in the Big Ten. And it features the aforementioned Caleb Johnson. Iowa averages 213.5 rushing yards per game. They don't throw much. Only the 3 service academies, Louisiana Monroe, and New Mexico State have less passing yards than Iowa on the season. Now let's get to the keys. The keys for the Huskers. You got to slow the run game. You know they're going to feature Caleb Johnson. Iowa is 0-3 when Caleb Johnson runs for under 100 yards. So can you keep him below the century mark? It's a pretty hard thing to do. Key for the Hawkeyes. You need to win on first and second down to force the Huskers into third and long or third and medium and try to get some turnovers from Raiola. I like what you mentioned with the Huskers run game from last week. I like the momentum that Nebraska has after becoming bowl eligible for what feels like in an eternity. It's just really hard to bet against Kirk Ferentz and the Iowa Hawkeyes at home on Senior Day when they have the second best running back in the country and best running back in the Big Ten in Caleb Johnson. I think Caleb Johnson rolls to just about 110 yards rushing. Give me Iowa minus 3.5. It might be the last time we get to play that this year.
That's true. We'll have to hope for another big game so we can get it out there. Clinton, the fact that we are talking about this game fifth is kind of an indicator of what the national
Notre Dame USC?
No. Michigan Ohio State. The game. Arguably the greatest rivalry in all of American sports is kind of, I don't want to say it's a footnote because I don't think it's ever a footnote, but from a national perspective, there's really not a whole lot on the line with this one. You kind of talked about it with the playoffs. Even if Michigan somehow wins this game, I don't think Ohio State's going to fall out of the playoff rankings.
Probably
not.
be on the road in their first playoff game, but they're in
Right.
the playoffs.
I mean, but you still have a chance. Well, actually, no, because then if Penn State wins, then you wouldn't even go to the Big Ten title game, so you would not have the opportunity to play for a Big Ten title. So that's the scenario this weekend. If Ohio State wins, they are playing Oregon in the Big Ten title game. If they lose and Penn State wins, then Penn State will be playing Oregon in the Big Ten title game. If both Ohio State and Penn State somehow lose and Indiana beats Purdue, it would be the Hoosiers in the Big Ten title game.
And another scenario, if all three of them lose, Ohio State still plays Oregon.
There you go.
Got you covered.
It is not a very good Michigan team, Clinton, but this is a huge number. I sent it to you. It was minus 21. It's down to minus 20 now. I saw it at minus 24 earlier this week. But will Ryan Day and the Buckeyes say
Fatality
to Michigan in this game?
Well, 0 for 3 in your last 3 chances. Haven't won since 2019. Michigan fans, make sure Ohio State fans know that. The thing that scares me most is the defensive line, most specifically the defensive interior for Michigan. However, as good as Grant and Graham are, they have not been as effective this year. Some of that has been they don't have the depth to get their rotation in as much, to give those guys breaks. The other thing, I feel like, as my cat meows for some reason, and I have no idea where she's at, Michigan's secondary is not good. Will Johnson is, I'm almost for certain, not playing in this game. I've not heard any indicator that he's going to play in this game.
Yeah, I think the last thing was Thamel from last weekend said he's likely out for Ohio State.
Yeah, and if Ohio State has any good semblance of blocking for that interior line or D line, and they don't give me any reason not to believe that they can't handle it. Michigan has been very susceptible through the air. Look at what Texas did to them. You brought that up the other day.
Yep.
My biggest piece on the Ohio State side is you have to get Michigan off the field. They're going to try to run the ball on you. They're going to use Davis Warren's legs some. I don't know how much they'll use Orji. I still think they're going to put Orji in and try to surprise Ohio and let Ohio State and let Orji throw it down the field. Now, whether that's an accurate pass or not, who knows? But if Michigan sits out here and controls clock and Ohio State gets like 3 possessions in the first half, this game's going to be sitting 10-7, 10-3 at halftime. You're going to beat a lot of puckered buttholes in the stands in Columbus because you're going to start feeling like the past few years. The difference between this year and last year is Ohio State is the best team in the country in the third quarter. And you want to talk about knockout blows, that's where they put you down. They take you out into the water, they let you stay above water, and then they pull you under and they drown you. That is a big spread, though. Plus 21 is what we're going with.
Yep.
I like Ohio State to win, but Michigan to cover. Ohio State wins 31-13.
31. I mean, that sounds, the total in this one is 42.5. So I think that's kind of about what Vegas is anticipating in this one. It's one of those things, like even the last 3 years as Michigan has been winning this game, I think really only last year was the one year that we kind of looked at and we're like, all right, I think Michigan should probably win this. The 2 years before that, it was very much like, there's no way Michigan's going to win this game. And then in 2022, it was there's no way Michigan's going to win this game. And then they did win this game. So it's probably a little bit of a fallacy to say that there's no way Michigan's going to get blown out in this game. There's no way Michigan's going to win this game, man. Like, it would be like, would they even let Ryan Day leave the stadium? Would they just like throw him into a meat locker in the basement of the shoe and lock him in there and just let him die if they don't beat Michigan in this?
They might. He might not make it back, that's for sure. That would be a very scary scenario that I don't want to see happen. I don't even want to go there again.
Like, the fans would rush the field, but not in celebration, in an angry mob trying to get Ryan Day.
Pitchforks
and torches.
Well, if you know how confident Mr. Big Money Portnoy, who just helped pay for Bryce Underwood, is, he's already saying he has nothing good to say about this game. Yeah.
He's like, everyone just have fun and let's love each other. I'm like, you are a gigantic baby. Yep. Just put your sack into it and talk some smack or something.
Yes, for the past 3 years, you have downtrodden Ohio State and the Ohio State fan that works for him in close proximity. And Portnoy has decided to watch this game on his own. And the Ohio State guy, I don't know his name, sitting there saying, I'm going to be sitting here in the studio watching it like we should be. And Dave's essentially, he's being a pussy and he won't come out and watch it because he knows what's going to happen. And then you get Portnoy on there. And he's like, well, it was like, everyone knows what's coming. They know they're going to lose. Ohio State's going to have to turn the ball over a few times. And they just play horrible to lose this game. I know it's a rivalry. I know we threw the records out, but Ohio State is winning this game. And they're going to play Oregon in the Big Ten Championship.
Clinton, not only do I think that Ohio State is going to win this game, I think they are going to try to rub it in a little bit at the end. Like you thought that Ohio State was running up the score last weekend on Indiana. I think we we have a comment from Five. I think it's Five Wish or Swish. Ha. It's a 5 with a W-I and an S. He said, Buddy wouldn't have time to pack his car with his stuff from his desk.
Yeah.
That's accurate.
Out of here.
That is accurate. They would.
The other thing I heard, Ryan, is that Colston Loveland is questionable for this game.
Oh, boy.
I don't know if he's questionable because of injury or if he's questionable about questioning playing the game.
Yeah, he said, I've had enough.
But
I beat these guys twice already.
I'm going to tell you right now, if they don't have Colston Loveland, this game will be worse than a 21-point spread.
Yeah,
because he's the only thing they have on offense.
Yes.
Ohio State's going to sit Caleb Downs and Lathan Ransom with him all game, and then they're going to stack the box and slow down the run game.
Mm-hmm. Wide receivers try to
game over.
Try to beat us.
They're not going to beat Ohio State's guys in man. David Igbinosun won't even have to hold the Michigan wide receivers in this game.
No, I think Ohio State wins this game like 56-7 or something like that. I think.
Oh my God, Brian, that would be.
I think they open up a can. I think this is like did you see the Ryan Day interview where he was like, next to my dad dying, this is the worst thing that's ever happened to me. Like, unironically, yeah. And people are like, oh, I get it. Like, oh, he's finally one of us. Like, because you guys have been so miserable to this guy who by all means is a very good human being. And you've made his life hell for 3 years because you're all ridiculous. It's football, Clinton. It's a fucking game. Grow up.
I have not made his life miserable.
Yeah, well,
I have said they should keep him.
You are all Ohio State fans. You represent everyone on this podcast. Therefore, you get my ire.
Well, that's fine. Nope. Ohio State's
a nice man. Be nice to Ryan Day.
Ryan Day is a great human being. He does a ton for Nationwide Children's and suicide research, donates to him, speaks out about it. Clearly had an impact with saving Harry Miller's life a few years ago. he's a fantastic human, whereas Urban Meyer, not so much.
Kick this kicker in Jacksonville.
Jim Tressel, fantastic human being. Urban Meyer, not so much. Brian Day, outstanding human being. Now, let's go get you to be an outstanding coach and put Michigan where they need to be. Because I can tell you what Urban would do in this situation. He would massacre Michigan.
No mercy.
He would kill them.
No mercy.
So let's get that killer instinct out and you step on their throats. And then let them just celebrate their offseason championship of having Bryce Underwood, and that's all they get.
Did you see Portnoy's interview about that?
I did not.
It was.
I know that he's doing a Barstool thing with him.
Well, so he was basically like, yeah, I was talking to Michigan about doing this, and then they reached out to me. Or I said I was doing this, and then Michigan reached out to me, and they said, we have a donor who wants to do this. He's like, I want to do this on my own. And they're like, I think you want to talk to this guy. It's Larry Ellison. And he's like, that Larry Ellison? They're like, that Larry Ellison. And the story was basically like Larry Ellison's wife, who's a Michigan grad, basically said to her husband, I'm sad that my team stinks. Can you buy us a quarterback? That is literally what he said, or she said to him. She's like, we're Michigan. We're the national champions. And I hate waking up on Saturday knowing we suck ass. That's paraphrasing, but that was kind of the gist of it. Unreal.
Money buys happiness.
Yeah, ain't that the truth? Swish again. We all just care about one game. You can't lose the weekend after Thanksgiving when all our families are together for the war. Football State.
Is Swish? Swish is an Ohio State fan, I presume, right?
Yeah, he dropped an OH before the buddy wouldn't have time to pack his car with his stuff from his desk.
Okay. Is it in the chat? Why am I not seeing it?
Because it's on the YouTube page. Because Riverside was acting a little janky today.
That's right. All right. Well, OH Swish. OH, baby. Let's get this done.
I'm not going to throw up an OH for you, but respect. 12 o'clock on Big Ten Network. Illinois, a 7.5 point favorite against Northwestern. Chance for a 9-win season here, Clinton, for the Fighting Berths.
Fighting the Illini.
They've been pretty good, man. Pretty good football team. Love me some Luke Altmaier and Pat Bryant. And I'm fully out on Northwestern, man. Like,
you're fully out on everyone. You're fully out on Wisconsin. You're fully out on
here's
Western.
The thing.
You were fully out on Rutgers.
Okay, I don't remember his but Mike, the Gophers fan who does the other Big Ten podcast, was talking about how good the Big Ten is.
Abadawali, I think, something like that.
Buddy, outside the top four, the Big Ten is terrible, dude. These teams are not good.
We just said the other day that Minnesota's a solid football team.
They're
now
fine.
You're calling them not good.
They're fine. They're perfectly fine.
Illinois is good.
They're fine.
I think you need to separate the category from Ohio State, Oregon, elite, Penn State, Indiana,
very
really good.
Everyone else,
you can have good.
Illinois
you can have
good.
Fair.
Illinois is good. They're the only team in good. Then you have a bunch of teams in fair, and then you have like 6 teams that are just in. Why are you wasting my time?
Then at the very bottom, you have Purdue.
Please relegate this team to the MAC.
I don't know if they would have much better of a season there, Ryan, to be honest.
Okay, so like there's all this talk about who's the better conference, the Big Ten or the SEC. My dream for college football is every year each team is only is not scheduling a non-conference game in the Big Ten and the SEC every year. And the opening weekend every year is a Big Ten SEC challenge where the team that won the SEC the year prior plays the team that won the Big Ten. The runner-up in the title game plays the runner-up in the title game, vice versa, all the way down from 3 to 16. And then teams 17 and 18 in the Big Ten play each other for the Big Ten Toilet Bowl. And the loser of that game gets relegated to the MAC. And the MAC champion gets promoted to the Big Ten for the season. Not that last part, but I think
the Ohio Bobcats or BG Falcons would love to come to the Big Ten and lose every single game.
Yeah, right. Not the relegation part, but the other part, because then we would definitely settle some debates. But of course, no one wants that because everyone loves playing hypothetical games and saying that my conference is the best without any actual tangible data. Everyone's undefeated in hypotheticals, man. I like Illinois in this spot, though, man. Northwestern, you just gave up 50 points to Michigan. Be serious. Michigan stinks. Their offense is awful, and you gave them 50 points. Give me Illinois minus 7.5, and give me, where's the sound at? Damn it. We're locking this shit up, too, because it's going to happen again.
Lock of the week.
Ryan has locked 2 up before I've even picked one. Fighting Illini, Wildcats. The Wildcats have lost 4 of 5, Ryan. OSU, Michigan, Iowa, Wisconsin. And they have lost those games by a combined score of 144-30. That's some ass beating. Illinois has won 2 in a row in 4 of their last 6. We know that Altmaier, Zachary Franklin, Pat Bryant have been on heaters, especially the way they finished that Rutgers game last week. Holy cow. If we could ever figure out how to do video on top of our screen, we could have done that live and be like, just watch the jaw-dropping experience that was. Northwestern key to victories. You got to get some type of downfield passing attack. It's been relatively non-existent. It's about been as non-existent as Manti Te'o's girlfriend. The defense needs to show up, and they need to stop the Illinois passing attack, which I don't think you can.
Very tough.
Illinois' keys. Feed your stud wide receivers. Simple as that. Bryant and Franklin all day, every day. Don't turn the ball over. That's the simplest way to keeping a team who shouldn't beat you in a game. And just keep Northwestern one-dimensional, meaning don't really let them have success. I was going to say stop the passing game. They don't really have one. So I guess stop Cam Porter and see if they can pass to beat you.
Yeah,
in
but
that
Clinton,
case.
Cam Porter's not been good this year, bud.
No, Northwestern's not good on the whole.
I mean, that's fair. So
minus 7.5. Give me Illinois.
Yeah, that's what's up. A win for this one, Clinton, for Illinois would be their first 9-win season since 2007, which, if I remember correctly, was a Juice Williams team.
Who beat Ohio State. You see what I have for you there, Ryan? Thanks for bringing that up.
I did, buddy. I didn't know. I just pulled up the thing on ESPN, and it said,
yeah, they went and played in the Rose Bowl.
I do remember the Rose Bowl, but it's not my fault that you guys sucked that year. I don't know.
We had one loss. It was to Illinois.
Yeah, well, you
might
should have
have
lost to
2.
Illinois.
But
Shouldn't have lost to Illinois, Clinton. I was 16. I don't remember 2007. 3:30 on CBS. Notre Dame, a 7.5-point favorite against USC.
Oh,
I don't
CBS.
CBS.
Big Gary gets this game. That's cool.
Big Gare and Brad Nessler get this game. I don't love this number at all. And I've explained my theory to you before, which is consistently Notre Dame plays like doo-doo in LA. And I mean, it's nice that this is a sleepy 12:30 local kick because there's going to be about 15 people in the stands instead of giving it a night game where people might show up and there might be some semblance of an atmosphere in this one. But I don't know, man. Even so, the 2 years that Notre Dame, like it was pre-playoff, but when they went 12-0, 2012 to the national title, they won that game 22-13 against a 7-6 USC team. 2018 playoff year against a 5-7 USC team, they won that one 24-17. Now, I think this Notre Dame team is better than those Notre Dame teams. They're deeper for sure, but it's a big number, man, to go on the road a week after you were in New York. Now you're in LA. USC has led all 11 games this year in the fourth quarter, and they have 5 losses. That's a remarkable statistic. That's just so fascinating. Like, what are the odds? That was not a rhetorical question, Clinton. What are the odds of that?
Few and far between. That's for sure.
This is going to be a 1-score game in the fourth quarter. Like, I can almost guarantee that. And I know I said this is just me, the pessimism in me that always comes out with this stupid ass football team. But like, if Notre Dame covers this number, it's going to be they're going to be up by like 4 in the fourth quarter, and they get like a touchdown with 4 minutes left to kind of ice the game away, and then they'll get an interception on the last drive and then just run the clock out or something like that. But this is going to be a close game for 4 quarters. I'm going to take USC plus the points here. The Notre Dame's pass defense is really good, but if you look at who they've played, like, they have not played fantastic passing offenses, and not that USC's shown a whole lot with Jaden Maeva through 2 games here. Like, they struggled to put points on the board against UCLA last week, man. Like, that was an ugly game, and it quite literally put me to sleep. Granted, it was 1 a.m, but there's a lot of weapons for USC in this one. It's going to be Notre Dame's biggest test since Louisville, which is coincidentally the only time that Notre Dame's given up more than 20 points this year. Again, Tyler Shuck, when he's healthy, is a lot better of a quarterback than Jaden Maeva, but similar skill position talent for USC. We were talking a little bit pre-show. Woody Marks, I think, is going to have, if not running the ball, just like all-purpose out of the backfield. I think he'll have a pretty big game in this one. But I think Notre Dame, they should win. I don't know that they necessarily cover, so I'm just going to hedge and say that they'll win by 7 and take USC plus 7.5.
USC, you need to tackle because Love and Leonard are going to try to put it down your throat, and you have to tackle them and limit yards after contact. Got to get them down. You also need to utilize Marks, as Ryan just mentioned, as well as Joyner. Utilize those guys out of the backfield, because if Notre Dame can cover your great receivers, I don't want to forget, too, utilize Zachariah Branch in a way that challenges Notre Dame to cover him. Because the Notre Dame pass D borders pretty much elite. Maybe not into elite, just given the fact of they've not played any elite passing offenses.
Yeah, if you're going to say like them, they're like number 1 in most statistical pass defense categories.
I'm not giving you elite though, because you've played 2 service academies who can't throw the ball. I want to see you against a team who can throw the ball. Maybe this was interesting too if Miller Moss is playing in this game, because I would assume he's a little bit more polished passer at this point than Maeva. Notre Dame, just limit explosive plays. That's another way that you can let teams who shouldn't win stay in games. If you give up a couple big plays, the 15 fans in the stadium are going to get juicy. They're going to get that crowd noise crazy. Force Maeva into some turnovers. We watched some of his throws against Nebraska. They were some questionable decisions. The biggest thing for Notre Dame in this, because they're going to win, stay healthy.
Yeah, that's true too.
Stay healthy. That's the number 1 key to this game. Don't lose people. Give me Notre Dame minus 7.5.
Yeah,
I don't even know if this game is close. I'm going Notre Dame 34, USC 16.
I mean, I could see that. I think the only outcome in this game that would truly shock me is if Notre Dame just craps all over itself and loses by like more than 10 points.
And how are you going to be on Saturday night when we do the live show?
Dude, if Notre Dame loses by more than 10 points, you're never going to see me again, because I'm going to drive my car into the Huron River and just float to Lake Erie.
Oh, we should have done something. What was the guy? Was the 3-Tech Pod or one of the other ones we talked with? He said something, and he had to eat a lemon live on the show. That's what we should have made you do in that case. He ate an entire lemon on his show.
Oh, dude, that'd be nasty. Have you ever gotten your dog to like lick a lemon?
No, my dog was eating clementines though.
Oh, did she like them?
She's not crazy about them, but she's eaten them before.
No, because I was making a dressing the other day with a lemon in it, and I cut it in half, and I let Lucy sniff it, and she sniffed it, and then she kind of gave me that look like,
"What are you doing to me?
What the hell is this thing?
This is animal abuse."
And also, like, she's not a picky eater. I was making her dinner tonight, and I accidentally like flicked the bowl and shot half of her dinner onto the floor, and she happily licked her food off of the floor.
PETA's gonna be calling you.
Yeah, why are you trying to give your dog a lemon? I just want to see what she would do. She's not good
with
making
your dog eat off the floor.
Oh well, buddy, she goes in the backyard and eats leaves. Like
she should eat at the table with you. She should have a seat at the table.
Okay, so we ordered a new kitchen table because we've had this crappy like bar top table in our kitchen. So we've been eating this week just like at our breakfast nook at the counter. And typically when we eat dinner at the table, she'll like kind of like walk around in between us, and she does not know how to act when we're sitting at the breakfast nook. So she's like sitting between us, and she's just like in our shit, just like staring up like, "Can I have food, please?" I'm like,
yeah.
What are you doing?
Feed me, Daddy.
You've only given me peanut butter and 16 cookies today. Why are you trying to starve me? But then, of course, you get the puppy dog eyes and you relent. Anyway, that's all that I have on Notre Dame USC. It shouldn't be close. It'll probably be close. I will probably scream at my TV about 14 times. And if Notre Dame loses, then Clinton is going to be a solo podcaster. You can get Adam on here. You can talk about his shitty mac and cheese opinions.
We're not there yet.
I had to throw that in. 3:30 Big Ten Network. Maryland traveling to Penn State. Penn State a 24.5-point favorite in this one. Clinton, I think Maryland might be checked out by this point. I forgot to look to see if there was an update on Billy Edwards, so this might be an MJ Morris game, but Penn State at home the last couple of weeks has been quite dominant, beating teams that I would classify as better than Maryland. I think Penn State's going to win this game by like 1,000,000 points.
Really?
I have to say something nice about Penn State. I pissed all of them off the last 7 hours on Twitter.
Yeah, Maryland has lost 6 of their last 7. Maryland has only beaten Penn State twice since 2014, and all the losses, they've given up more than 30 points. Maryland, your keys to this game are pass, pass, pass. Test the Penn State secondary and see what happens. You're going to probably see Maryland throw at least 40-plus times in this game. Penn State has not allowed, well, their pass defense has not allowed more than 255 yards passing this entire season. You know what the problem for Maryland is? They have no run game.
This is true.
So Penn State's like, you can run all you want. We're going to keep you from being able to complete your pass game, and then you're toast. Penn State, just get to the quarterback. Be patient on offense. They'll get these stupid turnovers. And again, as I said for other teams, stay healthy. Mm-hmm. Get up early and get your starters out. Mainly Drew Aller. You don't want to lose your starting quarterback. Abdul Carter, off the field. He's a game changer. You know, Ryan, I was sitting Maryland plus 24.5. Then you mentioned Billy Edwards. You're not sure if he's playing, so I don't like that. So I'm going to flip my pick. I'm going to go Penn State minus 24.5.
God, you copycat. You're only doing that because you're afraid that I'm going to catch you.
You're not going to catch me. You have like 15 games. You're not catching me.
I forgot to add up last week, so I don't actually know how many games I'm behind you now. It's probably a lot, though. Also, 3:30.
Just go ahead and Venmo me my $20 for my free pizza.
Yeah, I probably will just end up doing that. 3:30 FS1, Rutgers traveling to Michigan State. Michigan State, a 1.5-point favorite in this one, Clinton. Sitting at 5 wins right now, man. They are playing for bowl eligibility in this one, and I can't get a read on Rutgers. I've been wrong about Rutgers like every week the last month and a half. So if you're listening to this, if you're a betting guy or gal, whatever I pick in this game, bet the opposite because that's what's going to happen. And I think Michigan State's going to win. I think they're playing for a little, stuff on the line for both teams here, but chance to get to 6 wins for Jonathan Smith in year 1, I think would be an unequivocal success. Even getting to 5 wins, man, after how bad things were for them last year, already a good season. Aiden Childs has shown some stuff, has been turnover prone. We've talked about that ad nauseum, but I think they home game, senior night, chance to get to 6 wins. I'm going to take Sparty here.
Been a roller coaster for both teams, especially Rutgers, who we might have envisioned sitting at 9 wins. Rutgers has a special teams advantage in this game. They take care of the ball better than Michigan State does. They need to force bad Aiden Childs to show up in this game. Chianu is a defensive mastermind. Rutgers also carries the best player on the field here, which is Kyle Monungai. The problem is, Michigan State's defense is pretty solid. And if you don't stick them in bad positions, Aiden Childs, I'm looking at you right now, by limiting your turnovers or your turnover-worthy plays, they tend to do okay. Man, this is another tight line because it's very feasible to see Michigan State. They're at home, and all they got to do is win by 2. You know what? I think Michigan State gets it done. They're going to a bowl game.
Oh, my gosh.
Give me Michigan State minus 1.5.
I need the copycat sound here. 3:30 Big Ten Network. UCLA at the Rose Bowl hosting Fresno State. UCLA, an 8-point favorite in this game, Clinton. Nothing really on the line for either team in this one other than just winning a game, I guess. UCLA sitting at 4-7. They will not be going to a bowl game. Fresno State is 6-5.
Why don't you let me go through this one first, and you can't say that I'm copycatting you.
All right, fair enough. Fire away.
All right. Bruins have lost 7 of 10 regular season finales, dating back to their loss to the USC Trojans in 2012. The Fresno State Bulldogs, Ryan, have won 4 straight over the UCLA Bruins. The last win for UCLA over Fresno State, do you know when that was, Ryan?
Couldn't even begin to tell you.
The year 2000, when their current head coach, Sean Foster, was their running back.
Wow.
Key matchups here. Fresno State's running back, Bryson Donaldson, versus UCLA's run defense. Donaldson broke out with 140 yards rushing and a touchdown on 12 carries last week against Colorado State. That is the most productive game from a Bulldogs freshman since Ryan Matthews in 2007.
There's a name. There's a freaking name.
Yep. The UCLA defense, led by defensive tackle Jay Toya, turned in another solid outing, holding the Trojans just to 3.9 sack adjusted yards per carry last week. We know they're stout against the run. The problem is Fresno State's quarterback Mikey Keene is playing his best ball of the season over the past month. I don't know how much of a test Maeva was for UCLA last week. I think this might be a bigger test. UCLA wins, but give me Fresno State +8.
Oh, you fool. Shout out in this one, Mac Delana, Fresno State's leading receiver, the Delana Fresno family dynasty. Pete Delana, my high school baseball coach. Nate Delana, high school classmate. They're somehow related. I have no idea how. Anyway, that's my fun fact for the day. I'm going to take Fresno State to cover as well. You know what? Fresno State's going to win outright. Give me the Bulldogs outright. +8, whatever. Anyway,
that doesn't do us any different if we're still both taking them +8. So it doesn't matter.
That doesn't matter. Clinton.
Fatality.
7:00 FS1. Purdue going to Indiana.
Can you fatality someone if they're already dead?
Fatality.
I think Purdue is dead.
Well, Clinton, what is dead may never die. Hoosiers are 29-point favorite in this one. Last week,
what's alive may never live. You know, just some wise dad words for you for the day.
I can't even begin to process that one.
Deep.
The loss last week, combined with further discourse on does Indiana belong in the playoff, combined with dropping down to number 10 in the playoff rankings, I think Indiana might destroy the
triple
Purdue
digits.
They might destroy the Purdue football program in this game, man. This team has been checked out forever. They poor them. They've had to play Oregon and Penn State and Notre Dame, and they've gotten and Ohio State, and just gotten the fifth top 10 team they've played this year.
Yep.
This is
railroaded.
This is when you're building your custom schedule on NCAA 25 when you're playing as a G5 team and you schedule 4 top 10 teams in the non-conference to try to get into the playoff. I think I don't have enough money in my DraftKings account to bet a shitload of money on this one, man. But this is close to I'm not going to steal your thunder here, man. But Indiana's going to win this one by 1 million.
Yeah. Boiler fans, you better cover your eyes because it's about to get nasty on Saturday. The Hoosiers are going to annihilate Purdue. They're going to beat them so bad. You know that little dude who was driving the little steam engine when we were at the Oregon game? He's going to turn her around and drive right out of the stadium and right into a lake and just sink it.
He's going to quit his job on the spot.
He's done. No. Out. Purdue Pete is going to say this, and he's leaving. He's out of here.
Put a paper bag over his head.
The only thing I got to say for this game is stay healthy, Indiana. You need everybody at full strength for your playoff game that you may or may not host at home. IU -29.5. This is easily my easiest lock of the week for the year.
Lock of the week.
Indiana's not going to put up 100. Indiana's not going to put up 100, but give me 70-3.
I almost spit took there. Spit take.
Signetti and Indiana's going to be pissed, man. Rourke's going to throw for 350, probably 3 touchdowns. Running back's going to have 2 apiece. I don't know. This is just a beat down of mass proportions.
I might go into my savings account to put a significant chunk of change on this game. We're making mortgage next month, boys.
Calling Gamblers Anonymous after the episode.
Sam, don't listen to this episode. 7:30 NBC. Speaking, Clinton, of things that have been a little one-sided recently. Washington traveling to Oregon. The Ducks are an 18.5-point favorite. Washington has won 3 straight games in this series, including twice last year, to keep Oregon out of the playoff. Playoffs. Washington is booty cheeks on the road. and I don't think that there's a kinder way to put that. They are 6-5 this year. They have lost all
Flat
5.
booty cheeks, Ryan, because if they were
They
big
are.
booty cheeks, that'd be clapping, and that's good. That's a good thing. They're flat booty cheeks. Okay, there's no ass clapping here. They're just flat booty cheeks.
Thank you for coming to Clinton's TED Talk here. I think this is Oregon. They had their bye. Like, people have been talking like, oh, well, Oregon didn't look so great against Wisconsin last week. Well, that was at the tail end of 8 straight weeks, including 3 trips to the Midwest in 5 weeks. Probably tired. They got some rest. They probably have revenge on their minds in this one. Washington can't play away from home. I think Oregon's going to win this one handily. Let's go 45-14, and they're going to cover the spread.
Ducks have a 14-game winning streak. They're coming off a
Could be a Damon
bye
Williams
week.
game. Could be a Damon
Yep.
Williams game.
They survived the nail biter against the Badgers. They get a week off. However, sometimes we see teams after bye weeks not always the best. You mentioned the Huskies are 0-4 away from home. However, and they've also failed to cover the spread in all of those games when away from the home. This is not an East Coast time travel game, though, Ryan. They are staying on the West Coast.
True.
Oregon already has a Big Ten title appearance locked up, regardless of the results of this game. And for the 100th time this episode, get up early and get your starters out, Oregon. Get them out and stay healthy. You have a most likely date with the Ohio State Buckeyes in 2 weeks, and I cannot wait to be there to watch it. The Huskies quarterback situation, you already talked about it. That could present a challenge to Oregon, is who to prepare for, or if they run both of them out there. I think another key is, it's been all year for Washington, can you establish Jonah Coleman in this game? Did Wisconsin give a blueprint on how to maybe not beat Oregon, but how to slow them down? I think Oregon gets up early in this game. They take their starters out, and the Huskies backdoor cover. Washington 19.5.
Love me, hate me a backdoor cover. Clinton, can I ask you a philosophical question, bud?
Shoot.
What's your headspace going to be if Ohio State loses this weekend and you have to go to Indianapolis and watch Penn State and Oregon play?
I won't be as bad because they're still in the playoffs. So the last 3 years, it's been a playoff eliminator. 2022 they got help and got in. But yes, I'll be pissed and upset. But I'm gonna go watch Penn State play Oregon and see what happens and enjoy a good game, because you know what helps it? It's not Oregon playing Northwestern.
That's fair. Michigan versus Purdue.
I'm getting a top 3 matchup. If Ohio State loses, Penn State will likely go to 3. Getting a top 3 matchup regardless in the Big Ten Championship, either Ohio State Oregon or Ohio State Penn State. So I'll be mad. I'll be disappointed because Ohio State's going to have to go on the road for their first playoff game. But you can easily turn around and right the ship and still win a national championship. So I don't think they're going to lose. I'm not going to have to do that scenario, but...
Well, let me ask you this. If that scenario happens, who's the interim head coach going to be after Ryan Day is murdered at midfield after the Michigan game?
It's not going to happen that way. He'd be murdered after the season. Not during.
No, there's no way, man. They would not let him coach the playoff team. They would.
Yes, they would.
They would.
I absolutely would.
They would, but someone would do something. It would be bad. Someone would go to jail
this year.
If
there's something I'm ever so confident in saying this entire football season, is Michigan is not beating Ohio State on Saturday. They may cover the spread, but they are not beating Ohio State this year. They might next year with Patrick Mahomes, Vince Young, Cam Newton, whatever other name you want to give that's been given to Bryce Underwood already. But they're not winning this year.
If they do, we're going to have to go live after the game just to...
No, we're going live at nighttime like we're going to.
Yeah, so we'll...
I will still be fuming by the end of the day, I promise you.
Yeah, so that'll be our plan again this weekend, guys, is instead of doing our Sunday show, we're going to go live Saturday night, probably around 10:30 Eastern again. Watch the night games, finish up the night games. That was fun last week, and I enjoyed that. That was a little chaotic, and as my dad said, why'd you guys do a drunk podcast? I wasn't that drunk, Dad. I was just a little buzzed. Before we get out of here, it's Thanksgiving tomorrow, Clinton. Gobble, 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 gobble. Side dishes, power rankings. Football. What are your top 5 favorite Thanksgiving
You don't have a
side
sound for
dishes?
this? I
No,
thought you were going to drop us a cool sound.
No, I dropped the ball on this one.
Loser.
Yeah,
How do we want to do this? I give my top 5. We go 5 each. 4, 3, 2, 1. What do we want to do?
Yeah, just give me your top 5, and then I can
All right.
critique you.
Number 5, because I had so much trouble. I originally had mac and cheese, but I'm like, you know what? I never had mac and cheese growing up at Thanksgiving, so I'm not including mac and cheese because it feels more like a cookout food. Number 5, Parmesan roasted green beans. Number 4, I do have a noodle in here, just straight noodles. Give me egg noodles, something like that. Like cook some egg noodles up. Yeah, absolutely. We've always had noodles at my family's Thanksgiving. My aunt would make them every year. My mom's going to make them this year. Just like egg noodles.
You just
make
plain
them
egg noodles.
Yeah, you make them. You cook them in broth.
Well, no,
they have flavor.
Oh, my Lanta.
Number 3. This is not your list, dickweed.
You sound like my brother. Just plain ass noodles.
Listen, dude, I'm a very
butter and Parmesan on them.
I'm a very plain Thanksgiving person.
my
Number
God.
3, mashed potatoes with gravy. Gravy is not its own side, folks. It goes on the mashed potatoes and on the turkey. Number 2 are my wife's homemade rolls. They are phenomenal.
Oh, good call.
Love them. Absolutely destroy them. Load them up with butter. Clog my arteries in my life at 50 due to congestive heart failure. Number 1. Props to my mother-in-law and my wife on this one. Homemade stuffing, but it has sausage in it.
Oh.
The sausage is the selling point.
Mhm.
I am a fan of sausage. Take that any way you want. Homemade stuffing with sausage. It is delicious. So what's hilarious, real quick story before you do yours. Last year, Leah had told her mom, say, hey, Clinton really likes your homemade stuffing. So you know what she does? She does 3 stuffings every year.
Mm-hmm.
She does one in the bird.
Mm-hmm.
She does the stovetop stuffing because that's what my brother-in-law likes. And then the sausage, homemade stuffing with sausage. So I don't think she makes the homemade stuffing with sausage last year, if I remember correctly. And I get my plate, and this weird-ass looking stuff is on my plate. She gave me the stuffing from inside the bird, and I was like, bleh. Bleh. She's looking at me, and Leah's like, Mom, that's not the stuffing that Clinton likes. She goes, what do you mean? I wasn't going to make that stuffing this year. I made that just for him. And I was like, no, I definitely like the sausage stuffing. I don't like the stuffing from the bird. It grosses me out. So this year, I'm looking forward to having some homemade stuffing with sausage. But I'll tell you, that stuff looked like slimy. Ugh. I tried it one year and almost puked. It was so gross.
Oh, slimy stuffing. That's disgusting.
Yep.
We had our work Thanksgiving potluck last week, and I had stuffing with sausage in it for the first time. It is legitimately life-changing
It's
good.
freaking delicious,
It's
man.
such a good flavor.
It's amazing.
It is very good.
Fennel, sage, just pops right out.
Just rolls off the tongue. I have stuffing at number 4. I don't discriminate on stuffing, like stovetop stuffing, homemade stuffing. It's all really good.
Give it to
It's
me.
bread and spices, and it's just fantastic. For number 5, I have crescent rolls, like the Pillsbury specific. Like those are so it's a guilty pleasure.
This is the lamest ass answer ever. Make your own homemade rolls. You make pizza dough all the time.
Bro, you started with Parmesan crusted green beans.
Have you ever had them?
That's so lame.
They're delicious.
You did plain noodles.
They're not plain. They go on my mashed potatoes with gravy.
You put noodles on mashed potatoes?
That's a Southeast Ohio or
Were you
Midwest
born
thing,
in a
Ryan.
barn?
Actually, I was. I was born in a barn in a manger.
Oh, okay. Jesus.
Yes, my son.
Yes. No, man. Like that's the only time I have crescent rolls now. So it's like a guilty pleasure.
They are good.
Can't go wrong. I got this stuffing at number 4. Thank you, Pillsbury Doughboy. Mac and cheese at number 3. Clinton, Adam.
You motherfucker. Oh, no, that's Adam that bashed on you. I'm sorry. Never mind. I thought
he said Thanksgiving is not a side dish, or Thanksgiving is not a side dish. Mac and cheese is not a Thanksgiving side dish. Vehemently disagree. I too did not have it growing up because I don't know, we were too classy for mac and cheese, but maybe it's
Those
just a
West
Midwest
Coasters
thing.
out there.
Maybe it's a
Don't
Midwest
need any
thing. I
extra
don't know.
carbs. Get that 6-pack gone.
I mean, realistically, we half the time didn't even have turkey on Thanksgiving. We'd have like sirloin.
That sounds delicious.
It was very good. Very good.
Absolutely.
I like turkey. Kind of overrated as a meat overall.
Yeah. You got a next day cold turkey sandwich with ketchup on it on a bun. It's phenomenal. Change your life.
Wait a minute. Hold up. Pause. What did you just say?
Next day, leftovers, bun, cold turkey, ketchup.
Ketchup!
Bun on it. Eat it. It's amazing.
Oh my Lanta. Okay. Folks, we are no longer having a
You didn't say what your
podcast.
number one was.
Well, I didn't say what my number 2 or my number 3 were, or 1 or 2 were, because I was so caught off guard by ketchup on a turkey sandwich.
Ketchup's actually my number one Thanksgiving side dish.
I actually just drink it. Or I eat it straight from the spoon. I have 2 potatoes at 1 and 2. I have cheesy taters at number 2 and mashed potatoes at number 1. You can never get enough carbs at Thanksgiving.
Nope.
My dad
Load
made
'em
I don't know how I tried to make them and they were okay. But 2 Thanksgivings ago, the last time I was home for Thanksgiving, he made this cheesy potato thing. And it had like crushed cornflakes on the top. Oh my God, it was so good.
Yep. Before we get out of here, you can't have Thanksgiving without dessert. So I don't need a Power 5, Ryan, but what is your favorite Thanksgiving dessert?
Cookies. I'm not a pie guy. I'm not a big
You guys
fan
have
of pie.
cookies at Thanksgiving?
Yeah, sometimes. I am not a big pie fan. Like, it's
Damn, I need to
not-
come to your Thanksgivings. I love cookies.
Yeah.
I roll with peanut butter pie.
I could get behind that. I'm
It's
just
jizztastic.
pie's not my thing. Like a chocolate cream pie, maybe?
Of course, you'd love a cream pie. Bet you love
You
a real good cream
fucker.
pie.
Jesus Christ. All right.
No, chocolate cream pies are good. I didn't eat pie really till I met Leah. If I'm going to go pie, it's peanut butter pie or apple crumb. You can throw pumpkin pie in the trash. For all of you people who are listening to this, pumpkin pie sucks. 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 Okay, now I'm done.
Okay. All right. That's enough for today. We've gone too far off the rails. So
See y'all Saturday night.
We'll be back Saturday night around 7:30-ish Eastern for more live reactions from Rivalry Week. Should be fun. Hopefully it's fun. I hope it's fun. I hope I have a good time. I hope you have a good time too, Clinton.
Enjoy your Thanksgiving, everyone. Same
Yes.
as well to you, Ryan.
You too, buddy. We'll see you guys Saturday. Have a good night, everyone.
See you. Okay, am I good? I don't want to screw this up this time.
Yeah, I don't know what the fuck happened last time.
I pressed